All right, so we'll start off with a little bit of the new music that's come out recently. Pecos and the Rooftop put out a new single called 5 a.m. Jade Eagleson put out a single called Rodeo Queen. I really, really dig it. Morgan Wallen put out an album, and it has some good music on it, some pretty pop country music on it, but that's all right. A new band that I am checking out called Case and Haley and the Box Elder Stomp. Excuse me, and Box Elder Stomp put out a single called Raise Your Glass, and it's a little bit more on the rock end of things than on the country spectrum, but it's still pretty good. They're from Casper. I think they're worth a look out. As well, Kyle Mont Cunningham, he put out a single called Ibuprofen, and if you like it, you will definitely like the next episode that we have coming out. It's a fun episode. I like getting to talk to Kyle, and I know that you guys will like listening to it. He is a little bit more on the rock end of the spectrum too, a little bit more Americana or rock centric country, but it's really good music. The Panhandlers put out their new album called Tough Country. If you don't know who the Panhandlers are, they're basically like the new what do you call them? Highwaymen. So it's William Clark Green, Cleto Cordonaro, and I apologize so much. He's the front man for Flatland. I cannot pronounce his name. Josh Abbott and John Bauman. And they are awesome. They are so much fun to listen to work their like magic together that they have separately, but to hear them put it together and have it sound amazing, it's awesome. Sam Munsick put out an album called Johnny Fairway, and it includes all the singles that he put out beforehand, as well as a lot of other great music. One of the ones that came off of the album that wasn't a single that I really enjoy is Trouble in the Bubble. I have a buddy named Tanner Butner, and he was like in I like the conspiracy theorist in me believes that this song is about Tanner, but it's probably just about some random bronc rider. But Tanner was in this position. He was last rodeo of the year determined whether he went to Vegas or not, and that's kind of what that song is about. Bronc rider who has to win in the last round to go to Vegas, and I think that that's a fun song about rodeo. It's a rodeo country music, which I always dig. JD Clayton, he is another really, really cool new artist coming out. He put out a album called Long Way From Home. It's worth checking out. Obviously, Muscadine put out Teenage Dixie, which I'm in love with. Like, I have been digging deep into this album. Devil Dine Dixie, named after natives, is an awesome song. It's kind of more of a deep cut. Man, this is a really fun album. Teenage Dixie and Muscadine are doing great things. Yeah, that's kind of the last of the. Kobe Cuff is working on coming out with a few singles before he puts out an album later in the year, and he has one coming out at the end of the month called Bird Dog, and hold on, I will pull it up. Boy and a Bird Dog, and it is an awesome, awesome song. I highly recommend that you check it out when it comes out. But he also has one called Western White Pines that is really good as well. It's kind of going to wrap up our new music, but if you want to keep finding where new music is, if I get bogged down on some interviews or that sort of thing, you want to kind of see what I'm listening to week, see the new music that I'm finding before I talk about it on the podcast. Be sure to go through and go to my link tree and find that playlist. It's available on Spotify and Apple Music, and I update it every Friday just to kind of keep it up to date with the new music. Moving on to Ian Tyson. I think Ian Tyson was one of the last of a generation of country music that was, especially northern country music artists, that were singing about what country music originally originated from, which was cowboys around a campfire, and him and Chris Ledoux and um, a few others whose names elude me at the very moment, but they all sung about the way that country music started and their experience with it. And Ian was one of the most prolific out of that group, in my opinion. He was a huge influence on Corb, on a lot of those northern country artists, as well as Chris. He came a while before Chris, and he was a big influence on him. My dad has been to a bunch of Ian Tyson concerts, and Ian, like everyone, battled his demons, but he was always a great country artist, and he sung on a couple of Corb Lund songs, and he was always out there. I mean, I talked to, or I got to see Corb in a concert here in Laramie, and he said that the last time that he talked, or one of the last times that he talked to Corb, he was talking to him about a song that he was writing. Like, Ian was a musician through and through, but he always kept that cowboy spirit in him. I mean, he rode cutting horses, he ranched, his dad was a rancher and bronc rider before him, and Ian was inspiration to so many country artists now. He had a sound that was authentically country, authentically cowboy. And he is, to my knowledge, the only country artist who has ever sung a song about cutting, which is like what I was really big into in high school. I went to nationals for it, and like, I don't know, when I was 17, 18, that what made me feel really represented, because like this artist who I had listened to for a long time, I didn't know that a lot of these songs like Non-Pro and Steel Dust Line existed for a while. But then when I was going back through and I was kind of figuring out what kind of music I liked and didn't like, and trying to figure out the music that I wanted to listen to, I was going through and I found some old Ian Tyson, and I put it on, and it was singing about cutting horses. And I mean, that's crazy, crazy to make me feel that way about something that kind of obscure, or maybe not that interesting to anyone else, but he loved cutting. He owned a bunch of cutting horses, and he loved to cut, and he just was singing about his life. Even like the old cowboy songs, he did a full album full of like old cowboy songs, Whoopie Tayo, Windy Bill. He even had a song on that album about a about a cockfighting ring, and a young man from Mexico who steals a chicken called Gallo de Cielo, and goes up and is trying to win enough money so that he can go back to Mexico and buy the land that his dad used to own. And he manages to make you deeply invested in this cockfighting ring. And when Gallo de Aciero's beak cracks off in the last fight and he dies, you're super sad about this chicken. Like it's a he has an ability to um, make you feel things that is important when you're an artist. I mean, he can convey things with his voice and with how he plays guitar and how his band works together and everything that makes you feel like you're there. And that's a really special thing to have in a musician. And he's gone way too soon from this life. It, I mean, it hit me like a train. I knew that he wasn't necessarily in the best of health for a long time, but I was not expecting him to pass away just like that. And one of the things that really made me feel that loss was like listening back to old Corb songs when he came on, and like uh, Rodeo's Over by Corblund. Ian helped to write that song, and he is on it, and it's like so how I found Corblund was my dad at some random truck stop in Texas found this CD of Corblund and just grabbed it because who knows, and it lived in our truck for a long time, and when we were listening to random things, we popped the CD in and listened to Corblund, and he had such a formative effect on me. Same thing with Chris Ledoux and Ian Tyson, because we had those CDs in our pickup from when my dad was hauling us around to rodeos or whatever. And but one of those songs was Rodeo's Over, and it's featuring Ian Tyson, and it's a powerful song because it's singing about the time when a rodeo's over and it was a great year, but you just know that it's singing about more than just rodeo. It's singing about how sometimes like you peak and then everything's kind of downhill from there sometimes, but it's still good to live in those moments a little bit because you can still get the happiness from those moments. One of my other favorite Ian Tyson moments or stories is that when Ian Tyson went to write the song Syrie Peaks, so if you don't know what that song is about, it's about two cowboys who are out branding in the Sierra Peaks or Syrie Peaks, and they ride into town, they get pretty liquored up, and so unreliable narrators, you could say, but when they're riding back to camp, they meet the devil himself, and they rope him and they brand him and they notch his ear. They tied like knots in his tail and stuff, and so in Ian Tyson's version, the two characters, the two cowboys, are Buster Jiggs and Sagebrush Sam. But in Ian Tyson's version, Buster Jiggs ropes both ends. He ropes the head, and then later on in the recording, Buster Jiggs is a Riata man who has gut line coiled up neat. He shook him out an old heel loop and roped the devil's hind feet. So my personal headcanon is that was purposeful. It was purposeful. He Sagebrush Sam was just way too liquored up. Like the stories are misleading. Sagebrush Sam like fell off his horse or something, and so Buster Jiggs like reaches out there, this ropes the devil, ties off, runs over, jumps on the other on Sagebrush Sam's horse, heals the devil, and then they proceed to mess around and brand the devil and all that nonsense, which is way funnier in my opinion than the actual like the other versions of it. So that's kind of what I think happened in my head. Man, Ian Tyson is responsible for some of my favorite songs of all time. Uh, Casey Tibbs, I mean, I was named after Casey Tibbs, one of the most famous bronc riders in ever. I mean, he was for a very long time the youngest man to ever win the world in any event, and yeah, he is just um, immortal in the world of rodeo. And Ian Tyson wrote an amazing song about him, and also Navajo Rug. And my little sister's name is Kate. She's a awesome rodeo queen. She's the Idaho State rodeo queen. Go follow her on Instagram, all that nonsense. But she is she for a long time she loved the song Navajo Road because it's about a girl named Katie, and so we would I swear we wore out a CD of listening to just Ian Tyson and going through and listening to Casey Tibbs and um, Navajo Road because we love those songs, and then we also loved all of his other music. And that's probably one of the main reasons that I have a hard time with country music now is because I grew up with songs about cowboying and songs about that stuff, but they weren't just songs about cowboying, they were cowboy songs and songs you would sing on the trail or when you were sitting around a campfire. And that was country music to me for a long time. I mean, Chris Ledoux, Ian Tyson, that was country music to me for a long time. And then to hear what it is now, it's kind of tough, but there's still some light in the tunnel. I mean, there is Sam Munsick, for Pete's sakes. I mean, he is not only writing great cowboy songs, but he is also like writing just great music too. He put out a whole album of like great cowboy music, and it's hard to justify the difference because like he deserves way more recognition than he gets for that. And it's hard to see like the Wallen album get featured on everything, get like way more attention than it. And it's and Morgan Wallen's talented, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know if it's deserving of all of the hype that it's gotten, especially because a lot of the songs are pretty dang bland and boring, and a lot of his music is just singing about trucks in a southern accent, and now it's country music, and that's not what country music is to me. And I realize there are a lot of people who like mainstream country, and there's a reason that it's popular, but I think there's also a reason why Zach Bryan is way more popular than any of them right now, is because he isn't singing about truck. He's singing about real life and putting 3 chords behind it, and he has a country sound, but he's not trying to be something that he's not. And he is putting out good music with the intent of with country sound, and that's more important than the content material. And that's like I don't need you to sing about roping and riding on a trail. I need you to sing about the truth. And when I was growing up, we did a lot of roping and riding, and that was formative to me. So that's what country music was. It was the truth. And when I was going through some hard stuff, I found Zach Bryan, and I fell in love with his music because I mean, he sings about going through the hardest of times and heartbreak and gut wrenching sadness, and he can make you feel that with his voice. And Ian Tyson had the same ability to make you feel what it was like being a cowboy out on the range or sitting around a campfire or doing any of this stuff in his music. And that's more important than what you're singing about, the ability to make you connect to what you're saying. I don't know if, and in fact, I know that I wouldn't like it if Morgan Wallen or Sam Hunt started singing about uh, like going out and cowboying on the range. I don't think that I would enjoy their versions of those songs, even if they sang the same words, because I don't know that they could make me feel the same thing that I feel when I'm listening to Ian sing about them, because he's been there, he's done that, and he might not have been a cowboy his whole life, but he has done it, and he could relay those feelings. And I know that I talk about Morgan and those guys a lot on here. I mean no disrespect. I just wish that y'all would go to another genre, or so, like, or that mainstream music would appreciate cowboy music and cowboy country instead of bro country, as one of my guests recently put it. And I think that there's a lot more depth and good music to be reached out there than saying truck 7 times in a row. Like, I just I don't understand the musical trends. I guess it's money, but that isn't it for me. It's not what I want to see going forward. It's not what I want to hear when I turn on the radio, and that's why I don't listen to the radio. And that's why you all listen to this podcast, is so you can find music that you probably can't hear on the radio. And I really appreciate you guys sitting here and listening to me ramble about Ian Tyson for half an hour. But Ian Tyson legitimately is one of the biggest shapers of my life up to this point, and he got me to love country music, and that's why I'm here. That's why you're listening to this right now. And I'm so sad that he is gone. And it it doesn't bum me out to listen to his music, but it does infuse it with a little bit. Like, it's the same thing with Chris or any of the others. It just infuses it with a little bit more sadness that I never got to see them play live, or that I never got to meet them. It's just a little bit of that, but then a little bit of, okay, I need to make sure that I go out and I message these artists, and I get them on my show, and I talk to them, and I tell them how much I appreciate their music, how much I'm grateful for their making great music. That's what I intend to keep finding great music, finding great musicians, and bringing them to you guys. And I really appreciate you guys sticking with me and listening to this. I appreciate you guys listening this far in on just kind of a rambly episode about one of my favorite artists who passed away, but he really was one of the last great cowboy artists, and he is missed dearly already. I really hope you guys have a great day. Be sure to check out all my links if you want to hear more episodes like this. There will be quite a few more episodes like this coming out here in the next couple weeks to a month. I'm gone for spring break next weekend, but I have an interview already recorded for next week. It's Kyle Cunningham. He was a fun episode. He has some crazy stories. I know you guys are gonna enjoy that one, but make sure you check out some of my past episodes. Treaty Oak Revival is also getting ready to come out with a new album, and if you want to hear a little bit about that, and not necessarily a sneak peek of it as far as music goes, but a little bit of some of the band members talking about it and maybe what's going to be included in it or what we can expect from it a little bit. I talked with them a little bit about that in my interview with them, so be sure to go back and listen to that episode. I appreciate you guys so much. It makes my day when I see that you guys are listening to it. I really want to thank my listeners from Germany, or at least who are in Germany and the UK and Canada. You guys are bumping up. Like 4% of my listenership is from Germany, and that's pretty cool to see. And 3% is from the UK, and 1% is from Canada. So I mean, it's just cool to see that people around the world are seeing and hearing my music, or my. It's really cool to see and hear that people around the world are seeing my podcast and enjoying it and listening to it consistently. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. All right, check me out at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Western Sounds, or check out the link in the bio for all of the links in one place. I upload these videos of me onto YouTube and all my interviews and stuff on YouTube as well. So check me out at Western Sounds on YouTube, and be sure to keep listening to you guys. I've got a lot more cool interviews coming up. All right, bye y'all.